Monster Hunter Wilds. It's a good game, I guess. Spent like 100 hours in it. Over 100. Which I never thought. I didn't know how this game was gonna go, because I played Worlds, but only like, I don't even know how far I got. I did not get that far at all, because it was just so overwhelming and confusing and complicated and complex and hard to figure out and all over the place and chaotic and messy and crazy and it was more or less the same thing with this game. But then again, when I played Worlds, it was before doing it was just a different time, so I kind of gave up on it. And it's easy to compare this with Worlds, because that's the only other one out of the Monster Hunters that's like the CGI realistic. I'm not even gonna bother with the cartoony, cel-shaded, whatever. And people are trying to convince me at some old co-workers are like, oh, Monster Hunter Worlds is so good, and I was like, is it? But, you know, it's like, hey, I like Capcom, big monsters, and it was really cool. Like, Worlds was cool, like the beginning, the intro, the style, I was like, whoa, it's like a whole different world. It's very thematic, it's very cozy, the hub area. You really felt like you were a hunter in this place doing this thing. And then I started to main the insect glaive, and because I thought it was cool, but it was probably one of the harder weapons to master and use, figure out. But it's a good way to like vault on top of the guys, or I don't know, it's just what I was drawn to. But it didn't really go very far, and I know that there's a huge end game, post game thing, same thing. Fighting with your friends, your buddies. Ooh, let's go kill some monsters and get together, and you got your cool gear and your outfits and your armor and weapons and traps and food and rations and all this stuff. Your cat, I love the cat, the Palico. I love the Rathalos on the cover. It's just a shame I didn't get that far. It had such potential, but then I just hated how tied it was to online stuff. Like, I just want a good single player solo game. I don't care about any of that co-op crap. And that's what kind of held this game back more so than Worlds. But in Worlds, it was like, because they're basically the same thing. They just look different monsters and different outfits and shit, different environments, barely. But it was weird. What little I remember about Worlds is like there was a section that was cut off for the online stuff. And I was like, okay, I like that separation, and even if it was more integrated like Destiny or Warframe, where you can still play by yourself, you don't have to play with people, you may or may not have to have PlayStation Plus to play with somebody. But it's not the worst thing either when there are people just running around like, hey, it's a real person, we're all doing this thing together, but I just want to do a more independent lone wolf. But Worlds was such a good entry point, and then I play this. I didn't like the beginning, I didn't like the intro, I didn't like any of it. I was like, the desert, plain, dry, boring, lame, stale. The graphics look good. I'm glad it's a next-gen game and not a cross-gen or last-gen. The RE engine, it looked really good. I think it looked too good to where it kind of It's like the game was barely, felt like it was barely working half the time. It was just chugging because it's so graphically heavy. But I mean, naturally people are going to be more drawn to Worlds because that game was around for a while before this came out, and this was kind of the only other next entry to this lifestyle and community. There's people that love Monster Hunter, and then there's people that only like this more realistic stuff, the CG shit, and then there's someone like me who just kind of just plays them. That's it. I'm not like a fan or anything. But I was surprised that I even beat the game, let alone chose to grind, and I got all the armor, all the weapons. It took a long time. I did it all with no help. I didn't even know what half the items did. It's having such little experience with Monster Hunter overall, and then jumping into this, the most recent convoluted, diluted, saturated game that they have to offer. It's just, you think as sequels go on and stuff, there's a better quality of life and things are easier and more understandable, but it just felt worse. I've been curious to go back to Worlds and see if I can pick up on that and do more in there, and now that I have the experience in this game, can I carry that over back to Worlds? But I want to say Worlds was even easier, and it was less stuff, but it's more or less the same thing. It's this giant monster combat fighting simulator. I almost hate how detailed it is. If you want parts, you gotta go for the wounds, you gotta go for the tails, you gotta go for the head, you gotta go for the mouth, you gotta go for the back, the feet. It's just like, dude, it's trying so hard to like, it's like, you guys already struck gold, why are you digging, man? I love the atmosphere, I love the vibe, I love how chill it is. I didn't care at all for the combat, the gameplay. I was just enjoying being in the world and the environment. It's just a cozy game, and I like what Capcom has to. That doesn't mean I like every game Capcom makes, but I try to make that exception, and it being my favorite studio. But I wasn't excited, I wasn't really expecting much. It did get better as I went, sure, like I did start to kind of get things, the more time you spend with the game, the more you understand it, but I don't know, it just felt really forced, and like I enjoyed it enough to keep playing it, but I wanted to quit like the next day. I wanted to give it like at least a good day. Because I knew I was getting myself into something that was just too much. And that might be appealing for some, but it's like, as a casual, all-around, general, universal player of things that I do like, and within exception and moderation and balance, and it was just so far... I don't know, something about it. It's too much as a new player. It's like there's so much to learn, and I hate that that's what they want, is like, oh, play with your friends and they'll tell you everything, and have people backseat and spoil crap all day, and I didn't want that. I like to figure shit out on my own, and if I'm willing to spend the time to understand the mechanics and but it's not that simple either. This is like one of those games where you need to almost watch guides and videos because it's so obscure and vague and cryptic, and they don't really tell you much of anything. They can throw 100 tutorials at you, but do you care enough to even pay attention, or how motivated are you to even be willing to push through everything that they make you do? I don't know. Cutscenes are good?
Your reputation precedes you, Hunter. I trust you know what I've called you here to discuss.
Yes, sir. The Forbidden Lands?
Indeed. But more precisely about the boy we rescued in the vicinity.
But yeah, what held it back was, you know, what am I playing here? 50% single player, 50% so much because they depended on the long game, the long term. And that's going to be a big turnoff and unfortunately that's how a lot of games are. They have this kind of multiplayer mentality when yet it can't even find a way to just separate itself from one or the other. If someone wants that, that should just be a separate thing, okay? So many games are trying to integrate and reach to such an audience, and it's all a competition, and they throw in these half-ass modes in there, and it's like, not everyone wants that. It's available and it's a thing, and that's fine for everyone else, but that doesn't cater to the kind of baseline player base that they're gonna ultimately have. And if someone just wants to play this all day every day, well then there you go, but I want to play other stuff too. I don't want to play this the rest of my life. I mean, how long do these games last? Like, jeez, man. So basically, I was struggling the entire time because I didn't know their weaknesses. I didn't know what elements to use. I didn't know the best. I tried multiple weapons. I only really stuck to one, the first one I started with. There's so many weapons. Sword and I love the sword and shield. It's just more my play style, and mobility and nimble and quick and light and guarding, and so many of the weapons are, you have to spend a long time with them to really. And that's great, there's options for everybody, but there's so many. And then you have to grind and grind. You have to kill everything like 20 times just to get all their stuff. And then there's titles, and that would have been great if, but see, when you start depending on other people to help you, they do all the work for you, unless it's a equal thing, which, okay. But you're never gonna get strong if you let everyone else do everything for you, so it's just weird. You know, there's so many co-op games out there, there's so many multiplayer matchmaking, PvP, PvE, PvPe games out there that, like, to me, this is just another game. To me, it's like, if I'm gonna play with somebody, it may as well just be COD or Battlefield or, I don't know, just something easier. I don't want to deal with servers and invites and friends and messages and this and that, and because when you play a game like this that on the surface is mostly this type of single player experience, you're gonna ultimately deal with like a really funky ass system of trying to join up with your butt buddies, and but that's how they expected you to play the game, so obviously I do things the hard way. The fights took twice as long, the getting to know what shit does, and it's not even like I'm even in the 100 hours I spent, I didn't master everything. I didn't know how or when or where to use half the tools that they give you, and but I got it done. It wasn't pretty, but I was like, hey, if I can manage to just beat the game, I'm happy, complete it. I don't care how. There's a good excuse to just listen to music and just cut down things over and over and over, repetitive. But it was so cut and dry and routine and so like, God, dude, it was so. I hated that it really had that online feel to it where it's just, you know, rinse and repeat, do the same thing again and again and again. But as the collector in me was like, alright, and you can't even, it wasn't even a choice. I started to collect everything because I was stuck. I didn't know where to go or what to do. They gave you an arrow for most, like a quarter of the game or something, and then all of a sudden they don't tell you anything. So I'm like, alright, I'll go back, try to grind some of the older guys. And that's the basis of this game, is you want that cool looking armor, you want the weapons, and that's your reward. That's the only loot that there is. There's nothing. That's the whole thing. But then it just became addictive and RNG, and you're not getting the things you want, and yeah, there's better ways to do things, but you're going so out of your way to like I just wanted to kill him. I didn't want to go for this one spot and use this trap and activate this environmental thing and hit it right here. And like, dude, when you're in the heat of battle, you don't have time for that thing. You gotta grind your weapon constantly to keep it sharp. You gotta heal. The healing takes forever. Jesus, it was so bad. Like, everything was so frustrating along the entire way. Switching weapons and using a gun and the ammo types you needed, and there's just stats and numbers and words and letters everywhere, and it was like playing Neo or something. It was just too much. And it was really agitating. And it's just frustrating because I didn't want to spend forever playing it, but that's kind of what they wanted you to do, and that's ultimately what you would do otherwise if you planned it to play like a normal person, like a regular person who would have gone into it knowing that, hey, you're gonna play with your friends, it's a lot easier, you're gonna save time. And I can imagine that would have been a better experience, because like it just gets so stale, like killing things over and over, and like, hey, let's go fight a boss, let's go catch some bugs, let's go catch, I don't even know how to catch things other than some little bugs. Supposedly you can like capture all that stuff, and the monster designs are so generic and random and weird, and I know that's like their whole thing, but and Worlds was guilty more or less of the same thing, and they're all wearing like these oversized clothes, and it's just goofy and fun, entertaining. That's just Capcom for you. I don't know, I like there was a hot mechanic lady. I like the voice actress, Todd Haberkorn, and whatever the guild leader was, whatever. Some of those anime guys get so mixed up. Like I know their sound, I know what they sound like, I just don't know, I can't always tie them to a name because there's some that just sound completely the same. I recognized Todd, it took a minute, but I was like, wait a minute. Is that Natsu? I thought that was kind of cool. And I love that you can create your own guy, and I don't even know if that was that a thing in Worlds too? Must have been. There's definitely some good things too, but the bad outweighed the good so much. Like, obviously it'd be a very different conversation if, like, okay, I've grown up with Monster Hunter and played all of them, and blah, I know everything. It feels like they've been doing the same thing forever. I don't know how far back it goes, but I know it does go back a while, and oh man, people just keep eating it up, huh? Like, I know there was even like a Monster Hunter World DLC. I didn't even get to that at all. There's some bosses I liked more than others. I liked the first region more than the other ones. The whole wilds thing. Like, eventually it just started to kind of do more environments, and it's like, meh. Gameplay was fine.
Didn't even know what hit him.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked Alma. Gemma and Olivia were cool. Thought the kid was kind of annoying. I hated chasing down bosses constantly, and I get it, it's like a hunt, you gotta chase them down. I hated, the thing is, if you had buddies with you, you could be like, hey, can you distract the monster for a bit? I gotta heal, or I gotta sharpen my weapon, or I'm gonna set a trap down. All you have is your damn cat, and the cat barely does anything. But the cat was useful. Laying down shock traps and distracting them here and there, and it was just weird. And there was like optional quests, which was just a quick way to fight the monster, get out, go in and get out. But I liked fighting them out in the open world. I actually wanted, or I wouldn't say open world, but I wanted to actually like look for them and track them down. And there's even an option to, other than the main story stuff, to have support people, like the rest of the NPCs. I didn't even do that. So I was doing everything by myself, and I'm proud of it, but man, it was a struggle. It was just constant pain and suffering every time I got hit, every time I didn't have enough stamina to embrace something, every time my food buff ran out, my health bar would go down, I had to make food again. It was just constant, like, maintenance. Oh, I had to restock my health items, I had to craft more potions. Holy cow, dude. I had to go into the tent, I had to switch weapons, I'm looking through, scrolling through the weapon list. Oh, I gotta get this one and that one, and oh my god. The tolerance I have, the patience, man. But it's a good game to like test your strength and to test how far you're willing to take something and what kind of measurements are you willing to go. And I hate that they gave you so many tools, but it was hard to... Dude, if you're spending time fucking around with tools and antidotes and hot drinks and cool drinks and... You're getting hit, you're losing health, you're running out of potions, you might have to start over. Thankfully, when you die, you can just go right back into it, but there's a time limit. You can't, depending on if you go the optional quest or the open world part, you can't die 3 times. You could spend 20 minutes on a boss and all of a sudden, oh, I died. They keep hitting you, they'll spam the same moves over and over. Oh my god, it's just brutal. Just savagery. It was just always something. You're right in the secret, the bird thing, the chocobo, you gotta... It's running around in circles. It's hard to make it stop. It's like riding a rabid dog. I like that there's an auto-pathing type of thing, and... Oh man, and going through all the settings and getting it to work, everything to work the way that would best work for you, and just getting all frustrated thinking about it because it's so agitating and so frustrating, and just like nothing was easy, nothing was like straightforward or simple or basic, or I want that. That's good. It made everything as... And it's so weird thinking about it as a Capcom game too, because you think of Resident Evil and Onimusha, for example. Really easy. That's why those games do so well, is because they're just for everybody. It just works. I haven't played Devil May Cry yet, I'm going to. I'm gonna start Dragon's Dogma eventually. But just thinking about other Capcom titles, but then this one is just so weird. Like, it's... They couldn't have made it more complicated. It felt like I was playing a Team Ninja game or something. Stranger of Paradise, I haven't played that yet either. Oh man. But it gave me freaking Neo PTSD, like... And yeah, if you're willing to sit down and just go through menus all day and Oh my gosh. Or you'd show up to a, there's so many, you'd show up to a place, oh, the monster I'm looking for is there. Oh, by the time you get there, it's gone. Okay, now I gotta resort to the optional thing, but if you do the optional quest and you fail it, you're fucked. You can go out in the open world and die however many times, but you're still on a time limit. It's a lot more less punishable just fighting things out in the open. And it wasn't really easy to match armor at first. You kept having to use different stuff and kept having to upgrade everything. And the first thing I did was make multiple pieces of, what was it, leather and one other armor set that they gave you at the beginning. I was just wasting money. Thankfully I wasn't wasting materials, but then you'd have duplicates. I thought I didn't have all that. I don't know what all the icons meant. So I was making duplicate stuff and then I sold it back and only got half the money back. Like eventually the money was like whatever, but... And you can buy all these supplies and like you don't even know what any of it does and how useful it really is, and it's just all gimmicky crap. Yeah, all those things help a little bit, but the price you're probably paying to use those items... I don't know how well the ghillie suit really worked. The mantles weren't very effective. It just felt like nothing I was doing mattered. Nothing I kept getting stronger and grinding and putting all this time, and it just felt like it was still day one. Like you don't really have an advantage over things unless you take things as far as you can as you go and then maybe go back, but I was starting to go back kind of early when I wasn't really as strong as I could have been otherwise. Like eventually the fighting time went down quite a bit, but you'd have to put in so much. Like at first I was just going from mission to mission, but I was dying over and over. Clearly something had to change. It was whatever I was doing was not working. So eventually I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna go back, do what I can, because the game kind of put me in a position where I was kind of screwed anyway. So I was like, whatever. But then that just never stopped. It just kept going. You do one main mission and then you're stuck grinding for God who knows how long just to be able to try to catch up to where you feel like you should be at. It was just not, and everyone kept breathing too much and making weird noises, and I funnily enough enjoyed, or preferred rather, the grinding more than the story. It's not going to be the greatest story because it's mostly focused on you just, you know, killing shit. And even what story was there, I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't really care. It was all just so wacky, and it's hard to like keep up and follow along, and I was just so uninvested and uninterested the entire time. But I was like, hey, I want to start what I finish. As long as I'm playing something, doing something, I'm happy. If it's not Monster Hunter, it's something else. But it's just a weird time because nothing was really kind of just coming together, falling into place or flowing, or it was just constant start, stop, start, stop. And it's nice that they give you time to prepare and, you know, do whatever you gotta do and figure it out in between stuff. But even as you're going in the main missions, you don't know what you're fighting next. Do you have... Well, hopefully you're keeping up on whatever as much as you can, but one of the issues I was having was... Oh, I'm fighting like a water type. Okay, give me a thunder weapon. I don't have one. You're you're fighting different elemental things so much along the way that you're never gonna really come into it as prepared as you could be. About halfway through, I was like, alright, before I do what, because I don't know what's coming next, I'll just grab a normal weapon. Because if you're using something elemental, there's not going to be as much of a base attack, so I was like, okay. But even that's good, and then you find out, okay, it's obvious that this is like an ice type or fire. Oh, I should have grabbed blah blah blah. But then if you go to a campsite and change weapons, or depending on what you have on your second weapon on your guy, you can't sit there and just waste time either. But like, okay, if I do die and I get knocked back to my base or my tent, switch weapons then. But then you're fighting it already, you already started it, not doing as much damage as you could be, not being as efficient, saving time, because you want to do these things quick. Granted, the main missions are a little more lenient. They want you to somehow get through them, so like they'll give you plenty of time, but I was shocked that I didn't even know at first there was a time limit. I was like, what the hell? How did I fail? There was only one quest that I failed. It was a non-main quest, it was an optional, but because I died 3 times, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. And there was one that I failed because of time expiration. So like I had to learn kind of the hard way, but the fact that these things can even, there's so much wiggle room for so much to go wrong so much of the time. There's nowhere to find some cover to not get hit as you're trying to heal yourself, and the further away you get from the monster, the further back you have to go, either that or it just comes and chases you down anyway. Thankfully the cat heals you here and there, just not nearly enough as much as you'd wish. It's just tough because you have every opportunity to kind of take things more seriously and do things correctly and play the way the game wants you to. But they're asking so much of you just to do that. And I'm someone that likes to take my own path, do my own thing, go down my own road and do things my own way, and this is not a good game to do that with. It's manageable, it works, but barely. You're just getting knocked over constantly. Everything's really slow and unreactive. Your guy, everything he does, he's like a grandpa, dude. Like, fucking drink your shit, man. Get up. Figure it out. They don't even really give you stuff to have more of an advantage until longer along the way. Like, oh, now I get this to prevent this. Now I get this to resist this. But then you're spending half the time just switching shit around constantly. I was just like, hey, give me like a general overall universal build and I'm happy. Just go in with what I want. I like more passive stuff, not really specific things. But then you're just constantly getting paralyzed. You're getting poisoned. You're sleeping. You're in a hot environment. You gotta drink something. I just skipped all that. Oh, you're in a cold environment. You gotta drink something. It was just like, oh my gosh. It's a game. Why is this so like realistic? I didn't ask for that. I don't want that. They give you such an appealing game with these big monsters and boss fights, and it's so charming and whimsical and whimsy, and but then the true colors come out, the ugliness of it, and just the disgusting, the constant little bitch slaps, and it's like, yeah, it is more rewarding the more you go and the more stronger you get and all these things and the more options you have and the more stuff you have. But my issue is, as a single player experience, you don't really need to mess with all that. It would have helped, but it's very different when you have the pressure of like, okay, I'm playing with my friend, I gotta like carry my own weight and, you know, show off and flex. I'm gonna come in with, okay, we're gonna fight this, I'm gonna bring this and use that, and It's ridiculous. They emphasize the whole preparation thing way too much. And me, I was just trying to rush and get through it, and sure, I was taking my time, obviously, but like, I can't be asked to just constantly touch every little thing, what little I did know, and rearrange everything over and over and over for every single fight, because it wasn't ever that, like, detrimental, or... Because this is just, like, base game bullshit, and it's different when you're fighting, like, these, you know... These guys that are set to like max difficulty, and you gotta be on your game, and none of that was relevant to me. None of that was, but because it's so integrated within each mode that you would be doing, it just kind of ruined the whole thing, because I don't know. But it was enjoyable. It wasn't all bad, obviously, or else I wouldn't have kept playing it. I was still playing it for a reason. And I wanted to see what would happen next, and the only reason why I did stuff along the way, too, is because I still had main missions to do. And I didn't want to just get through the story first, and then come back and do all that, because that's just too much to ask. I was like, hey, as long as I have main missions to look forward to doing... do some grinding, then I'm even more prepared for the next fight, the next boss, the next monster, the next creature. And then hopefully it'll go a lot smoother along the way, instead of just constantly... Because that's what I was doing at first. I was just like, hey, let's just keep going. I didn't really know what else to do. The easiest thing to do was to just keep progressing. But then eventually I had to, adapt more, and but I was like, dude, I'm not gonna take my time to look up all this stuff and what it does, and I don't do that. Maybe back in the day when I was playing stuff in my room, the lights off in my boxers, and I was just chilling, and it was just, you were able to kind of take that time, and if you had to look something up, fine. But it's different when you're doing things very non-traditionally. I don't know, it could have been better. I don't want to go through all that again in Worlds, but if I do go back to that, if and when, it's probably just going to be more or less the same crap. But it just really speaks to those who are just a glutton for punishment, just self-destructive and running into the fire, and because the spread of it is so good and so appealing, but then the nitty-gritty, the details, it's just so like, it's such a turn-off, and it's kind of a shame. Like, this game has so much potential, but the way that it goes about things, but that's what makes it what it is, so it's like, well, what are you gonna do? This game knows what it is, and it's the only one I can think, well, the most well-known one that does things like this, so... I mean, there's respect and all that, but at the same time, it's like, damn, dude. Jesus, ouch. It's such a love-hate thing. It's just... it's not even one or the other. It's such a 50-50 neutral... Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird game. But yeah, MHW, Monster Hunter Wilds.